Hello there guys, this is WinClient5270 again. In today's video I'm going to be showing you all how to install and configure Windows Vista in 2019. So the first thing you'll need is an installation media. In the description will be provided two ISO images for Windows Vista. Each ISO image has Service Pack 2 and all editions pertaining to the ISO for Windows Vista. So the x86 version has Starter, Home Basic, Home Premium, Business, and Ultimate, and 64-bit has all of the same editions except for Starter, since there is no 64-bit version of Starter. So you will then, after downloading one of these, if you don't already have a Windows Vista installation disk, you will have to download one of these and burn it either to a DVD or a flash drive using software such as IMG Burn, Rufus, or WinSetup from USB, and I'll put links to these programs in the description, as well as links to these ISOs. Everything I'm referencing in the video I will put links to in the description, so don't worry. These ISOs have been provided to me by my friend I430VX, who also has a YouTube channel that I'll put a link to in the description. So after you have downloaded one of those ISOs, burned it to a disk, you will then insert your Windows Vista disk into your computer and boot into it, and you should have this screen appear. Now, if your computer came with Windows Vista already, you'll need to be sure to select the appropriate edition of Windows Vista upon installing it. More than likely your computer probably came with Windows Vista Home Premium, and if you need to find this out, if you don't know what edition it came with, there should be a sticker on the side of your computer called a Certificate of Authenticity. And what this sticker is a sticker that has the edition of Windows Vista that you purchased, as well as the product key for that edition of Windows Vista, because you will need to know both of those in order to proceed with installation. If you're building a new computer to run Windows Vista, you will need to make sure that your hardware is compatible with it. I will put a link in the description to a list that I've compiled of hardware that has been verified working on Windows Vista. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is make sure all the information here is correct. Click Next and click Install Now. Then you may enter your product key if you wish. I'm not going to for this video. And if you didn't enter your product key, you will need to select the appropriate edition for Windows Vista for the product key that you have. So I'm going to be choosing Windows Vista Home Premium for this video, since it's most likely the most widely used version of Vista that people are going to be using. If you're watching this video, this is probably the edition you're going to be installing. Then you have to accept the license terms. Then click on Custom. Then you need to be sure before continuing with installation that you have backed up all of your important data onto some other storage media, such as a flash drive or a DVD or an external hard drive. And if you can't or have not done this, what you can do is click on Next, and you should get this message, and it'll say that if the partition you selected contains files, that it will move all of that data to a folder named windows.old, which will contain your previous Windows installation, as well as all of the files that you had with that installation. But for this video, I'm going to go ahead and format, but do not do this if you have any important data that you want to keep. Okay, so after formatting, you can click Next, and the installation will begin, and I will come back when it is complete. Okay, so after the installation is complete, you should now be at this screen where you can type in your username and your password and select your preferred user account picture. Then you can type a name for your computer. I'm just going to leave mine as the default, and you can select your preferred background image from here. Then for this step, you want to be sure you choose Ask Me Later. It's very important that you do that. Then you want to pick your time zone. Then choose your computer's location, and then click Start. So when you're at this step of the installation, it's very easy to skip it. All it's doing is running the Windows Experience Index, which isn't necessary at this time since we don't have any drivers installed. So it's completely safe to skip this step. Just press Alt and F4, and you'll be greeted with the login screen. And now you'll have to wait for it to prepare your desktop and create all of your user folders, and I will come back when that's complete. Okay, so once you're at the desktop, you should see the welcome screen appear. The welcome center, rather, so you can close out of that. And now you'll need to install the appropriate drivers for Windows Vista. If you didn't download the drivers before reinstalling Windows Vista, what you can do is go on another computer and download the drivers from the website where they're located, and then put them onto a flash drive and insert that into your Windows Vista machine and install the appropriate drivers there. So the first thing you'll need is a network card driver. So before you installed Windows Vista, you should have determined your network card through Device Manager and downloaded the appropriate drivers for it. So that way you can connect to the internet and download additional drivers such as your display driver and your sound drivers and whatnot. So in order to do that, you need to download this program here called Snappy Driver Installer, and I will put a link to it in the description. It's a very easy to use program that greatly simplifies the driver installation process. So after you open it, you should get a dialog box that'll prompt you to unblock it from Windows Firewall, and you just want to click on unblock when that message appears. I can't get it to appear right now since I've already cleared out of it the first time I used this program. But after this program runs, you want to click up here where it says click here to start the download. You want to click there next to that text. Don't click directly on it, click next to it. And down here you want to click this button that says this PC only, and then click OK, and it will give you all of the necessary drivers for your computer, and it will start downloading them. And if for some reason Snappy Driver Installer fails to install one or more drivers, you'll need to go directly to your chipset manufacturer and get those drivers for Windows Vista. So for example, if you built your own computer and you have an ASUS motherboard, you'll have to go to ASUS's website and look up your motherboard model number and download the drivers directly from them, or Gigabyte and whatnot. Or if you have a computer that came with Windows Vista, you need to go onto HP's website and download the appropriate drivers for Windows Vista there. But it's recommended that you install the network drivers first, so that way you can then use Snappy Driver Installer to install the rest of the drivers that are needed. So I will come back once I've installed all the necessary drivers on this virtual machine here. Okay, so after you've installed all of the appropriate drivers and rebooted your system, you may have the welcome screen appear again, the welcome center appear again, and now you can uncheck the option to run it as startup because we don't need it. So the first thing you'll need to do is install Internet Explorer 9. Now, in order to install Internet Explorer 9, you must have Service Pack 2 installed, and if you use the ISO images provided in the description, Service Pack 2 should already be included. However, if you are using your own installation media and it has either Service Pack 1 or no Service Packs on it, you'll need to update to Service Pack 2. And if you have the original version of Windows Vista from 2006, so if you visit the System Properties page by going to the Start menu, right-clicking on Computer, and then clicking Properties, you'll have this window appear, and if it says Copyright 2006 and then nothing else down below that, then if it says nothing about Service Pack, that means you're on the original version of Windows Vista, and you'll have to first install Service Pack 1 and then install Service Pack 2. However, if your system already has Service Pack 1 installed, all you have to do is install Service Pack 2, and then you should be ready to install Internet Explorer 9. So, even if you don't use Internet Explorer, installing Internet Explorer 9 is still critical to getting your Windows Vista system up to date, as installing Internet Explorer 9 updates a lot of system files in Windows Vista. So, I'll put links to all of these things in the description that you need, including the service packs. So I've already got everything downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and run the IE9 installer. And after clearing the user account control prompt, you should have this window up here. All you have to do is just click install, and it will begin installing. And while that's going on, we can go ahead and make a few adjustments here that I always like to do when I'm installing Windows Vista. You don't have to do these are optional. The first thing I do is I go on the desktop, click anywhere, right click anywhere on the desktop, click personalize, go to change desktop icons, and then check computer and users files and also control panel, and then click OK. Now you will have all of the icons on your desktop that you will need to access right at your fingertips. Very easy. You don't have to go to the start menu to open these every time. Then I open the control panel, and I go in here and I click on the classic view mode. I find this to be much easier to use than the category view. And another thing I recommend doing, you don't have to do this, I go in here and I right click on the sidebar and I click on properties. I uncheck start sidebar when Windows starts, and then I click OK. And then I right click on the sidebar icon in the taskbar here and click exit, and then hit exit sidebar. Because the sidebar is really, it's unnecessary, and it's more of just eye candy than it is useful. However, if you want to keep the sidebar on, you can. It's totally up to you. And then the final thing I do is I click the start menu, go to control panel, go to, let's see here, internet options, and then where your home page is at, you can go ahead and set that to whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and set it to a blank page, and then click OK. And that's all for now. I will come back when Internet Explorer 9 is finished installing. Okay, so Internet Explorer 9 is now installed, so now I can click Restart Now. And once you do that, the computer will reboot, and it will have to configure the new update that you just installed, which can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. It just depends on your computer's speed, how fast your processor and hard drive and whatnot are. So I'll come back when this is finished. Okay, so Internet Explorer 9 installation is complete. The update has been configured. So now what you can do is go to the start menu and open up Internet Explorer just to verify that you are now on Internet Explorer 9. And you'll have this window pop up. You want to just go ahead and choose to use recommended settings and click OK. And we can close out of that tab that just opened. And as you can see, we are now on Internet Explorer 9. So now the next thing you'll want to do is install an up-to-date web browser. So I have this list here. It's called Last Versions of Software for Windows Vista, which I'll put a link to in the description. And as the title implies, this is a comprehensive list of software for Windows Vista, the last specific versions of software to support it, as well as software that continues to support it. This list was compiled by me and was made with the help of the MSFN community. There are several browsers on here, but the one I recommend personally is Serpent by Roy Tam 1. Now, who RoyTam1 is he's a developer on MSFN who has taken browsers created by Moonchild Productions, and if you're not familiar with them, they have created the Pale Moon web browser as well as the Basilisk web browser. And what RoyTam has done is he's taken these browsers that have been created by Moonchild Productions, and he has restored the code that was removed to make the browsers compatible with Windows XP and Vista, and he's released them on MSFN. So if you go on MSFN, you'll find a thread on these browsers. I'll just go ahead and open it up here so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'll visit the Windows XP section because that's where it is. And as you can see here, it's called My Build of New Moon, aka Pale Moon Fork Targeting XP. And as you can see, it was posted by RoyTam1 in October of 2017. That's when the project started. So normally you would have to go on here and you would have to download and install the browsers manually. And every time you update the browsers, you would have to do it manually. However, thanks to a community member by the name of I430VX, we have this RoyTam browser installer, which will automatically download the browsers from the appropriate server and install it on your system for you. So we'll go ahead and run this installer, and I'll put a link to it in the description. And after you run it, you should have this page here appear, this command prompt window. So all you have to do is press any key to continue, and then it says which browser do you want to install, and you can install either Serpent, which is recommended for more high-end computers or mid-range computers, as well as New Moon. That's also a good choice, but Serpent tends to be a little bit more compatible. For lower-end computers, there's Firefox 45 SSE, as well as Chameleon on Goanna, which is just Chameleon browser with the same rendering engine as Serpent and New Moon, which would be the Goanna rendering engine. So I'm going to go ahead and install Serpent. So then you want to choose either the x86 or x64 version if you're installing Serpent or New Moon. Now if you're installing Firefox 45 or Chameleon, I'm pretty sure Firefox 45 only has an x86 version. I could be wrong on that. I can't recall exactly, but I know Chameleon only has an x86 version. But for New Moon and Serpent, I know that you must choose either x86 or x64. So I'm going to go ahead and choose x64. And I will come back when this is complete. Okay, so after the browser is installed, it should say done. And then press any key to continue here, and then you can run your installed browser. And I'm just going to choose to not import anything. Now you'll get this prompt every time you open the browsers for some reason. I don't know why. Even if you use Serpent as your default web browser or New Moon or whatever, it still keeps popping up every time you open the browser. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on use the browser as your default, and then click allow if you want to, that is. So after doing that, you want to go back to the start menu and click on default programs, and then click on set your default programs, and then click on the browser that you want to set, and then click on set this program as default, because as you can see, even though we chose to set it as our default browser, it still only has 6 out of 9 defaults. So you want to set that program as default, and now it'll say it has all of its defaults, and then click OK, and then you can close out of that. So if you installed Serpent, you may have noticed that it looks a little bit weird on Windows Vista. As you can see, there is no arrow glass transparency at the top like there should be, but that is an easy fix. All you have to do is go to the Classic Add-ons Archive GitHub page, and I'll put a link to it in the description. But I need to manually look it up here, and I'll put a link to this page in the description where it has all the releases. So once you click on this page in the description, all you have to do is click on the latest version here. It'll say CA-archive- a version number. Currently the latest version is 2.0.1, which was released in March, so it may or may not get updated again. And it's a .xpi file, which is an add-on file. So once you click on it, you just want to click allow in this little prompt here that comes up. You can also install this on New Moon browser, and what this add-on is it's an archive of all of the classic add-ons that were released for Firefox pre the web extension requirement. So all of these add-ons aren't web extension add-ons, they're all the classic add-ons that were released for older Firefox, since that's what Serpent is based on, at least this version is. There is another version of Serpent made by Roytam1 that supports web extensions if you want it. I'll put a link to it in the description. However, it is not supported currently by i430VX's installer, since it's not updated very frequently, and it's generally not recommended to use it unless you just want to. It's based on Firefox 55, whereas this version is based on Firefox 52. So anyway, go ahead and install that, and you should get this little orange icon here on your toolbar. You just want to click on it, and it'll say database has been processed successfully, please reload the page, and you want to reload it. And where it says search for add-ons, you want to search for Glass My Fox without any spaces, and then just click on install now right here, and then click install. And as you can see, we now have Arrow Glass transparency all over the browser like we're supposed to. And another thing that will make this look even better is if you install Classic Theme Restorer, and then just click on install now, and then click install, and then restart now. As you can see, we now have this little menu button up here where we didn't before. And if you want to customize this, you can go up here to this little hamburger menu and then click on the add-ons button. And over here where it says extensions, you can click on the Glass My Fox options button here. And there's all sorts of customization options in here. You can customize it to your preferences. I'm going to choose the Firefox default tabs. That's my preference. And I like to remove the white tab text. But there's a lot more you can do in here, and you can also go to the Classic Theme Restorer and customize even more in there if you wish, like the color of the Serpent button, for example, if you want to change it to blue, purple, red, whatever you want. So I'm just going to leave it as blue there, and we can now close out of that. So now you've got yourself an up-to-date web browser, and now what you need to do is update your operating system. So the first thing you'll need to do is download these 5 updates. So aside from the Roytam browser installer and this IE9 thing, we can go ahead and just get rid of those. So you'll want to download these 5 updates, which I'll put links to in the description. These updates are necessary in order to get to the Windows Update program up and running, because normally, if you're familiar with Windows Update, what will normally happen if you try to run Windows Update on Windows Vista without installing these updates is it will just continuously check for updates forever and ever and ever, and the process will never complete. Which is why it's necessary that you install these 5 updates before attempting to run Windows Update. So you just want to go ahead and just install all of them. It doesn't really matter what order you install them in, just as long as you install all of them. And you just want to click OK. And while this update is installing, I'm going to go ahead and make another quick adjustment to Windows Vista that's going to save you a lot of disk space if you do it. So you want to open up your web browser, and you'll want to visit, well, you won't have to do this. I'll put the link to this command that I'm going to be running in the description. It's just a simple little command prompt command, but what it does is it reduces the system restore disk usage in Windows Vista. Since there's no way to do this through the graphical user interface, you have to use the command prompt to do it. So I'll put this command here in the description, this vssadmin command. I'm copying it from this website, but I'll put it in the description. So all you have to do is right click on it and copy it, click on the start button and type in CMD in the search box, right click on CMD and then click Run as Administrator and click Continue, and then you just want to paste this command in there and press Enter, and then you can close out a command prompt and you're good to go. And now System Restore won't use up so much disk space, because normally it would take up tons of gigabytes of disk space, and that's not what you want. So one last little thing I'm going to do is go to System Properties, and down here where it says Windows Activation 30 days to activate, you want to click on Change Product Key, and then this is where you'll enter your system product key. So you'll want to get it off of your certificate of authenticity that I referenced earlier in the video, and put it in here and click on Next, and it should activate your copy of Windows Vista. And if it fails to activate, you might have to do it over the phone. I'm not sure if over the phone activation is still available for Windows Vista, but I imagine it is, since I know it was available for Windows XP after its end of life. But anyway, after you've activated Windows Vista, you got that taken care of, we'll go back to this update here. So I've just installed the first update in this list of 5 updates that I talked about earlier. Now you may be tempted to just click on Restart Now, but that's not necessary. You don't need to restart after installing each individual update. All you have to do is click on Close and then install the next one in the list, and just do this for all 5 of the updates. And then after that's done, then you can restart. And I'll come back after I've installed all 5 updates and I've restarted my system. Okay, so after you've installed those updates and restarted your system, you can now visit the control panel and go to Windows Update. So now in here, what you want to do is go ahead and click on View Advanced Options, and then click on Check for Updates, but let me choose whether to download and install them. Don't pick to install updates automatically. And then click OK after doing that, and continue if you're prompted, and it will begin automatically checking for updates. Okay, so not too long after it starts checking for updates, you should then get this prompt here to install new Windows Update software. So all you want to do here is just click Install Now and then click Continue. And then as it says here, to install the update, Windows Update will automatically close and reopen. So I will come back once it has done that. Okay, so Windows Update just closed and reopened automatically, and now as you can see, our checking for update screen has been slightly changed. It's been updated to a newer version of the Windows Update software. So now we shall let it check for updates, and I will come back when that is complete. Okay, so after about 15 minutes of waiting, we have finally arrived at this screen. Now if you get an error message about Windows Update not being able to check for updates, all you have to do is press try again, and it should work. Every time I've ever gotten that error, I just pressed try again, and it worked almost instantly the next time. Like I didn't have to wait that long, and it was already finished checking for updates, and this screen appeared. So anyway, you want to go here where it says so and so important updates are available, however many it shows for you, the number will vary. And you want to go through here and you want to uncheck these updates until you get down to 150 updates selected. So see down here in the corner where it says total selected 184 important updates. You want to just go through and uncheck these until it gets down to 150. Because what happens is if you install too many updates at once, then Windows Update will get to a certain point and it will hang, and you'll be forced to hard reset your system. And when that happens, your system is more than likely going to be rendered unbootable due to the update process being interrupted, because there was just no other way out of it, because your whole system just hung. So as you can see, I now have 150 important updates selected, and you don't want to worry about any optional updates right now. You want to just go ahead and click OK, and then click on Install Updates. And after you've done that, you just want to go ahead, you just want to keep installing updates in 150 intervals. So like the next time you can go ahead and select more than likely you can go ahead and just select the rest of the important updates and then all of the optional ones, but just make sure that the total of updates that you have selected equals to 150 or less. You don't want to install any more than that because your system will hang if you do. Okay, so after you've installed all the updates through Windows Update, there are still more updates to be installed for Windows Vista. If you recall a video I made back in 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there, I made a video on how to get updates for Windows Vista until January of 2020. And this is possible thanks to Windows Server 2008 updates. That's Windows Vista's server counterpart, which continues to have updates released for it and will do so until January of 2020, which unfortunately is not too far off nowadays. So what you want to do, I'll put a link to this in the description, is visit this repository created by a community member named Greenhill Maniac. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it up here in Serpent. And as you can see, once it finishes loading, as you can see here, there are two folders. There's an x64 folder and an x86 folder. So depending on which version of Windows you have, you want to right click on one of the folders here. So right click on it and then go down here where it says download and then click on download as zip. And once you do that, it will begin downloading the file. And I don't have to do this because I've already downloaded this, so I'll just go ahead and cancel it, but you'll have to download this and wait for it to complete. And after you downloaded it, you should get a folder like this one here. It'll say either x64 or x86, it just depends on which one you downloaded. And you'll have to go in here and manually install all of the necessary updates for Windows Vista all the way from May 2017 all the way through to August of 2019, which is the time this video has been made. So if you're watching this video in January of 2020 or later, you'll have to just install all of the updates that are inside this folder and you should be fully up to date. But for now, we're still getting new updates. So I'll just go ahead and install a couple and I'll show you how to do it. It's very easy. You just double click on the update, click continue when you're prompted, and you'll have this screen appear. You'll click OK, and it's just like installing those 5 updates that I referenced earlier. You'll want to install all of them in one session and then restart. You don't have to restart for every individual update. That's just a very time consuming and unnecessary process, and yeah, like I said, it's not necessary, so don't do that. Just install each update one at a time and all in one session. So after it's done, after each update is done, don't click restart now. You want to click close and then just double click on the next one and install it. And so I don't need to do that to show you what else you need to do. So we'll just go ahead and pretend like I've installed all the updates except for the ones in this extras folder. So all the updates in here, they have a readme file that tells you what they do. However, there is one update in particular that requires some special steps to be done after you install it, and that is the TLS 1.1 and 1.2 update for Windows Server 2008. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. And after I do that, I will show you how to get this TLS 1.1 and 1.2 support in Windows Vista. Now this update is actually for Internet Explorer 9. It's not for other browsers because the other browsers already have their own TLS 1.1 and 1.2 support included. So this update is mainly for Internet Explorer to improve compatibility with websites. And of course this does require Internet Explorer 9 to be installed. So I'll come back when this is done. So the screen that was just up that was showing that update, checking for updates, you may have an update, where it will hang like that and it will just continuously say searching for updates over and over. So the easiest way to fix that is to go into the start menu and type in services.msc and then open it from the start menu, and this window will appear, and then you just scroll down to the bottom, and then where it says Windows Update, you want to stop the service, so you right click on it, click on stop, and then right click on it again and click on start. And then when you run the update, it shouldn't hang, it should just complete much quicker, hopefully. Yep, as you can see, now it completed a lot quicker, whereas before it was just going and going and going. So, like I said, this update installs TLS 1.1 and 1.2 support. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And the rest of the updates you can just install as normal. They really don't require any special steps to be done. And from now until January of 2020, you'll want to check back every month and take a look at this repository and download new updates as they come out. So you'll check the let's see here, I've got it open here on my host system, I'll show you. If you look here, there is a folder for security updates post August 2018, and in here it's got all the update rollups released from September 2018 all the way till July of 2019. So the August 2019 update rollup is not even in here yet. So you'll want to just wait until Green Hill Maniac adds the new updates as they come out and install them. And of course, a new Internet Explorer 9 security update will come out every month also. So as you can see, this one says it was added in July. So here in the next couple of days or so, it should be updated to August, and you'll download that update as well as the August 2019 rollup when it comes out, and you'll do this for September through January, and then after January is over, you won't need to do this anymore, because then Windows Server 2008 support will have ended. And you also want to do this for .NET Framework versions 2.0 through 4.6.1. And yeah, so it's pretty easy to do. I won't go into how to do that because it's very easy to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and restart. So we'll just pretend like all the updates are installed. I just installed the TLS 1.1 and 1.2 update, and I'm going to restart, and I will come back when this is done and I will show you how to enable TLS 1.1 and 1.2 support in Internet Explorer 9. Okay, so the system just restarted, and I will show you just to confirm that the update did not automatically add support, or it didn't automatically enable TLS 1.1 and 1.2 in IE9. And no, we do not want to make Internet Explorer our default web browser. So we'll close out of that tab, and I'm going to show you, if I go here into Internet Options and go to the Advanced tab and scroll down here, as you can see, we only have SSL 2.0, 3.0, and then TLS 1.0. So let's say if you want to visit a website like Dell.com, for example, it's saying that it requires the TLS 1.2 security protocol. So you want to close out of that, and we'll go to the Start menu and type in regedit in the search box, and then click continue, and then where it says HKey local machine, you want to click the little arrow next to that, and then go to software, Microsoft. We'll go ahead and maximize this window, and you want to scroll down here to Internet Explorer, then click on Advanced Options, the little arrow next to it, and then Crypto, and then scroll down to TLS 1.1, and then the little OS version key here, you want to right click on it and then click on Delete and click Yes, and then do the same thing for TLS 1.2. Yep. Okay, now this step is only necessary if you're using a 64-bit version of Windows Vista. If you're using the x86 version, you can skip this part. But now we're going to scroll down to WoW 6432 node. So okay, we'll go ahead and close out of the software thing here. So now we're going to go back to HKey local machine and then go to software, and then we're down here where it says WoW 6432 node. You're going to click on that, and then Microsoft, Internet Explorer, advanced options, and then crypto, and then just do the same thing again for both of these. And be very careful when you're deleting these keys. Make sure that you're right clicking on the correct keys and deleting them. You don't want to delete the wrong key. So now we're going to open Internet Explorer back up again. And now if we visit the advanced options page, just click the little gear icon and go to Internet Options, and then Advanced. If we scroll down, you should now see we have TLS 1.1 and 1.2, and we can enable them. And now if we try to visit that Dell.com again, as you can see, now we are allowed to visit the main website, even though it does look a little bit broken in Internet Explorer 9, that's for sure. We're now at least able to access it and use it, whereas before we couldn't, as you could see by that error message that appeared. And the same goes for a lot of other websites. If we go to google.com, as you can see, that loads, and I think it would load with TLS 1.0 as well. If we go to howsmyssl.com, it should tell us that we're using the TLS 1.2 protocol. It says it's bad, but which is pretty obvious because this is like a 8-year-old web browser. But at least we now have TLS 1.2, whereas before we didn't. And this will help with compatibility with websites. So at this point, you've got an up-to-date web browser, you have all of the security updates installed for Windows Vista, and you're continuing to get them until January of 2020. So now really the only thing left to do is to download the appropriate software that you need for Windows Vista. Now there's no really good way to do this, because I don't know what software most users are going to have besides a web browser and an antivirus. Like, those two are obvious. But I do have a list that I've created that I mentioned earlier, that last versions of software for Windows Vista list. So we're going to go back to that, and if you take a look at it, you will find there's software listed in every category, like I said earlier, for all of the last versions of software for Windows Vista, as well as software that continues to support it. And download links are supplied for this software, so it's very easy to get to access. So as you can see, here's the list. You just scroll down through here past the web browser section, so because we've already talked about that. We have antivirus and security software, so here's the last version of Avast. It's version 18.8. That's a good antivirus for Windows Vista if you want to give it a try. Or there's AVG, or you've got Malwarebytes. That's a good one. I use that on my system. It's not really an antivirus if you don't have the premium version. You have to pay for that. But it is a good malware detection program and removal program. Malware detection and removal. The last version for Vista is listed here, as well as a download link for it. If we scroll past the antivirus section, we also have an instant messaging and internet communication software section. So you've got stuff like Pigeon, TeamSpeak, and Telegram Desktop. Unfortunately, Skype can no longer be used on Windows Vista with the desktop client. You must use the web version, since the desktop client no longer connects to the Skype service. We also have email clients, things like Mozilla Thunderbird, the last version for Vista there. And then we've got Mail News by Roytam1, and then Postbox, and the other one, Sylphy. I don't really know how to describe that one. anyway, or pronounce that one. Don't really know how to pronounce it. PDF viewers and editors, we have Adobe Reader, the last version for Vista, Office Suites, content consumption software like VLC and Spotify, Adobe editing software, like it's got the last version of Adobe Photoshop for Vista listed there, and all the other Adobe editing software, video and photo editing software. Really just all sorts of software listed here. You can surely find what you're looking for on this list, and if you can't, you can create an account on MSFN and reply with what is missing from the list, and let me know what you want added, and I will make sure of it ever supporting Windows Vista in the first place, because if it's like a new piece of software that came out just recently, it more than likely never supported Vista in the first place. But if it's a piece of software that you want to know the last version for Vista, I can most likely find that out for you and add it to the list, so that way you'll know. And there's also a few games on here and console emulators. I'm not going to like add every single game to support Vista. I just added the popular ones. But anyway, I hope that you all found this video useful and enjoyed it. I hope that maybe it helped those of you who thought that using Windows Vista in 2019 was just impossible to realize that that is absolutely not the case. There are many of us still around that use Windows XP and Vista on the MSFN forum. All of us still use these operating systems just fine, and I think you all will like my next video. If you are familiar with this channel, if you've been watching for a while now, and you're familiar with how opinionated I am about Windows Vista versus its successors, well, my next video is going to be titled The Untold Truth of Windows Vista, where I just go through and I talk about how Windows Vista really is as an operating system versus what the media tried to make you believe. And I can't wait to see the comments on that one. But anyway, thank you for watching.